So welcome to our part 2 video lesson on the discussion of socio-cultural learning or theories and learning. So Vygotsky's socio-cultural theory finds powerful resonance in the Filipino educational setting. This framework highlights that learning begins as a social act formed in the space between people before becoming internal thought. In Filipino classrooms, this social dimension of learning is not theoretical, it is lived. Our cultural values prioritize community, cooperation, and respect for mentorship. All vital components of Vygotsky theory. And this presentation will unpack these principles, illustrate them through local context, and offer pathways for applying them in cultural and teacher education. So ultimately, we will see how Filipino classrooms can be transformed from spaces of information delivery into arenas of collaborative, culturally resonant meaning. Uh, Meaning, right? So preparing students not just to know but to become co-creators of knowledge and virtue. And why does Vygotsky's sociocultural theory matter, especially in a Filipino context? So because it shifts the focus of education from isolated intellect to communal experience. It, it reminds us that every classroom interaction, every group activity, and every shared reflection is a space where learning truly happens. Culturally responsive pedagogy isn't just an option, it's a necessity. Filipino values such as pakikipagkapwa at bayanihan don't just enrich classroom dynamics, they create fertile ground for deeper understanding and ethical formation. And these values provide a natural fit for the sociocultural learning model. And as we prepare the generation of Filipino educators, grounding teacher education in Vygotsky insights ensures that future classrooms aren't just places of instruction, but laboratories of dialogue, character, and community building. Let's quickly revisit the central ideas of Vygotsky's sociocultural theory. At its heart, this framework argues that thinking begins socially. So children learn first through dialogue, right? So children first learn through dialogue. They learn also first through interaction and imitation before internalizing these patterns into personal strategies. And the zone of proximal development, or the ZPD, is a concept you'll see throughout this presentation. It's not just a gap in skill, it's a dynamic space of growth where guidance makes learning possible. Think of it as the distance between potential and performance. Scaffolding is how teachers and peers support learners in this zone, right? Through modeling, prompting, or feedback. And over time, this support fades and independence emerges. And and crucially, learning is mediated by cultural tools, especially language. In Filipino settings, our idioms, proverbs, and shared values are not just content, they're vehicles of thought. So, Filipino classrooms offer a uniquely rich context for Vygotsky's sociocultural theory because our values inherently support relational learning, di ba? Yung pakikipagkapwa-tao, bayanihan, and because we are family-oriented, akmang-akma talaga yung sociocultural theory ni Vygotsky sa ating mga Filipino. And let's explore three key cultural principles. Like what I have said, yung pakikipagkapwa-tao, yung bayanihan, yung utang na loob. No, yung pakikipagkapwa promotes empathy and identity with others. In classrooms, this translates into a learning style grounded in mutual support and group identity. Bayanihan, our tradition of communal labor, naturally aligns with collaborative learning strategies and peer scaffolding. Tulong-tulong, diba, sama-sama. And meanwhile, yung utang na loob adds a moral dimension. Students don't just learn from teachers or mentors, they feel compelled to give back, creating ethical loops of learning and gratitude. So together, these values reinforce the kind of social, guided, and internalized learning that Vygotsky envisioned. Pakikipagkapwa-tao is more than a cultural nicety. It's a powerful pedagogical asset. In Filipino, in Filipino classrooms, learning often unfolds within webs of shared identity and mutual care, right? And this relational orientation enables students to co-construct knowledge, resolve dilemmas, and grow socially and morally together. Instead of learning in isolation, Filipino students thrive in dialogic collective environments. And the classroom becomes a community where understanding is not imposed but negotiated and internalized. And this deep cultural value supports everything from collaborative tasks to peer tutoring and maps perfectly onto Vygotsky's vision of learning as a socially mediated process. So when students see each other as kapwa, or no, when students see each other as kapwa, learning becomes what? A shared journey rather than a competitive race. Bayanihan. So bayanihan or collective effort is one of the most visible and celebrated Filipino cultural values. And alam naman natin kapag Filipino, bayanihan, no, yung pagiging hospitable at the same time, yung ating tinatawag na collective effort. And it holds transformative potential in education. Traditionally, associated with neighbors lifting and moving a house together, bayanihan signifies unity, shared burden, and collective problem solving. This same spirit animates the best kinds of learning environments. In a bayanihan-inspired classroom, students do not learn in isolation, right? They engage in projects, support or support each other, and celebrate group successes. Cooperative activities such as skits, research teams, or community outreach mirror this heritage. In socio-cultural terms, this is peer scaffolding in action. Students help others progress within their zone proximal development or ZPD while reinforcing their own learning. A true bayanihan approach shifts the classroom from competition to collaboration, aligning education with values that have long guided Filipino communities. Utang na loob, yan yung madalas nating naririnig, no? Sa ating mga kaibigan, sa ating mga kamag-anak, or kadalasan sa ating mga magulang. Utang na loob is a powerful driver of Filipino student motivation and often invisible to outside observers. Unlike extrinsic motivation such as yung grades, this value frames education as a relationship of gratitude. When teachers guide students, learners often feel a profound sense of debt, di ba? Not in a negative sense, but a desire to honor the support they receive. Kaya nga we celebrated Teacher's Day as part of our gratitude to our teachers. No, that is one of an example of utang na loob. And this moral dimension transforms educational help into something more enduring. A commitment to repay support by mentoring others. Sabihin natin, gusto kong tumanaw ng utang na loob. Pero ang sasabihin sa iyo, tumulong ka na lang ng mga kakilala mo or tumulong kang mga nangangailangan. Sa pagtanong mo ng or pagtulong mo sa mga nangangailangan, ikaw ay tumanaw na ng utang na loob. Yun yung mga karamihan, no, na sinasabi sa mga tumulong. So, yun yung repay support by mentoring others. Working harder, pagbubutihin yung pag-aral or contributing to the learning environment. It adds emotional weight to the scaffolding process. In Vygotskian terms, this enhances the learning dynamic. Now, lalong na-enhance kapag sinamahan mo ng utang na loob as a Filipino sa ating value system. It embeds the teacher, student, and peer-to-peer relationship within an ethical frame. The zone proximal development becomes not just a zone of development, but a zone of trust, respect, and moral reciprocity. So let's look at practical example that ties Vygotskian theory with Filipino classroom values. In values education class, students are assigned a group project on environmental cleanliness. They're asked to assess their school or community, propose solutions, and implement small actions like organizing a clean up or campaign drive or clean up drive or campaign. Here, we see pakikipagkapwa-tao or pakikipagkapwa. We see also bayanihan and also we see utang na loob in action. Students must collaborate, share ideas, divide tasks, and reflect on the ethical importance of environmental care. Diba sa DepEd, we have what they call na makakalikasan. And the teacher doesn't micromanage, but provides support, asking guiding questions, and stepping in only when needed. So such real-world projects transform learning from abstract discussion into live ethical practice. And through scaffolded cooperation, students internalize values not just intellectually, but experientially. And this is Vygotsky applied in full cultural and pedagogical contexts. So for future values educators, future teachers, applying Vygotsky's ideas means more than citing theories. It means designing classrooms where interaction, dialogue, and cultural relevance drive learning. And this begins with intentional lesson planning. No? Meron parang intentional lesson planning. Hindi lang yung ida-download mo lang yung lesson from the internet, but ikaw na, you will intentionally create a lesson plan. And lesson structures should include opportunities for collaboration, whether through group tasks, partner discussions, or peer feedback. Teachers should learn to tune in to the needs of each learner and apply just the right level of scaffolding, stepping in when needed and stepping back when independence emerges. Moreover, sociocultural classrooms are noisy with purpose. Teachers must encourage students to verbalize reasoning and make thinking visible, and of course engage in dialogic learning. And finally, the use of local examples drawn from family, napaka-importante, no? You use local examples that comes from family, community, and Filipino traditions and turns abstract concepts into meaningful knowledge dahil nga base sa kanilang naintindihan dahil sa sarili nilang kultura. So reflection also is an essential part of learning, not as an afterthought but as a core process in internalizing experiences. Napaka-importante niyan. And this slide presents three prompts that encourage students to think deeply about how they learn, who helps them, and what kind of classroom culture nurtures growth. The first question guides them to reflect on meaningful mentorship, recognizing how a more capable other helped them bridge their zone proximal development. And the second asks them to compare individual versus collaborative learning, drawing insights from real experience. And the third invites critique and vision. How can our classrooms evolve, no, to better embody sociocultural learning? And through reflective writing or discussion, students then turn social interaction into personal values. So nakuha natin, no, because of the reflective or reflection. Yung students turn social interaction into personal values and habits. And this is where Vygotsky's theory becomes visible, not in content alone, but in how learners process and own their development. So the zone of proximal development, or ZPD, is where the magic of learning happens. It represents a dynamic and responsive instructional space where tasks are not too simple nor overwhelmingly complex, but just challenging enough to stimulate growth with the right support. Teachers who operate within the ZPD don't simply deliver content. They assess where each student is, identify what's just out of reach, and provide strategic scaffolding. And the goal is to stretch thinking, not to induce stress or confusion. In the Filipino context, yung zone proximal development takes on cultural nuance, and students may hesitate to admit difficulty due to hiya, di ba? Or may defer to authority figures due to respeto. Teachers must navigate these layers sensitively, helping or offering help that affirms dignity while promoting cognitive and moral expansion. So Vygotsky envisioned teachers not as information dispensers, but as bridge builders. So bridge builders, guides who connect what learners already know with what they are capable of learning. And this essence of scaffolding and guided discovery, no, rather than uh, providing all answers, the teacher models curiosity, possess questions, and allows students to grapple with problems within a supportive environment. Over time, over time, this guidance decreases. Unti-unti yang mababawasan as the students internalize strategies and become independent thinkers. In Filipino classrooms, this means contextualizing content through culturally familiar examples, 'di ba? Sa ating mga lesson plan, localization and contextualization. And whether it's using a folktale or community practice or live family experience, the teacher anchors new knowledge in existing cultural frameworks. So, cultural frameworks, meaning building bridges that lead to deeper understanding and meaningful learning. So, scaffolding is how educators now operationalize the zone of proximal development. It refers to the temporary support structures teachers provide while learners build yung tinatawag na competence. And this support is not static, no? It evolves across stages. First, the teacher models the desired skill or reasoning process. And this is followed by guided practice where students attempt the task with help. Next comes prompting. So prompting, gentle nudges to recall or apply learning. Finally, as mastery builds, scaffolding is withdrawn and learners act independently. Each stage corresponds to a shift in responsibility. So from teacher to student. In the Filipino classroom, this approach resonates deeply with cultural norms of apprenticeship and communal support, reinforcing not just knowledge but confidence and moral autonomy. So for Vygotsky class, language is not merely a medium for expressing thought. It is the very tool that makes abstract thinking possible. As children speak to others, to themselves, and eventually to their own minds, their cognitive processes mature. So Vygotsky described a developmental sequence, from social speech used to interact, and then private speech used to guide one's action, and inner speech, o ito yung silent reasoning. These are not separate acts but continuum of true externalized and internalized. In the Filipino context, verbal articulation is often linked with cultural values. Expressions like pakikisama, hiya, and utang na loob, no, don't just describe behaviors. They shape ethical interpretations. In classrooms, encouraging students to explain their reasoning aloud, whether in Filipino, English, or local dialect, facilitates both conceptual and moral development. So cultural mediation is one of the Vygotsky's most powerful ideas. It reminds us that students don't learn in vacuum. They learn through tools like language, symbols, rituals, and narratives that shape their mental models and moral landscapes. In the Filipino context, these tools include folktales, heroes like Jose Rizal, traditions like barangay cooperation, and even artifacts like jeepney toys or religious images. These are not decorations. They are mental scaffolds. When students hear, analyze, and discuss stories like Alamat ng Pinya, they're not just learning literature. They're internalizing respect, responsibility, and reflection. Teachers are central to this process. They act as cultural interpreters who embed lessons in familiar terms, helping students bridge abstract abstract knowledge with lived experience. So when cultural mediation is intentional, no, learning becomes personal and transformative. So Vygotsky concept of internalization marks the point where social learning becomes personal mastery. So it is the invisible yet vital process by which behaviors, strategies, and values first encountered through interaction, and that interaction are transformed into self-driven norms. Imagine a classroom where the teacher consistently asks, "Can you support your answer with evidence?" For example, yun yung tanong, no? At first, students respond because they must. Over time, yung tanong na yun, "Can you support your answer with evidence?" Over time, they begin asking this of themselves. So una, they thought na itong tanong na ito ay parang ah, parang ano no, napaka-authoritative. And over time, they begin asking this of themselves. This shift, no, from external prompt to internal standard. So ito is internalization in action ang tawag. In Filipino classrooms, moral norms like respect, helpfulness, or responsibility are first modeled by adults and reinforced through peer interactions. And through repetition, paulit-ulit, reflection, and guided discussion, students begin to embody these values independently. And thus, the classroom becomes not just a site of instruction, but a training ground for character formation. So, because Kichuri becomes concrete through real classroom interactions. So, let's explore three values education scenarios that apply his principles in culturally grounded and pedagogically sound ways. First, in moral dilemma activity, students work in groups to reason through ethical choices. The teacher facilitates not by dictating answers but by asking questions that stretch their thinking. And this collaborative reasoning space is a ZPD for moral development. Next, in peer mentoring, older students discuss responsible digital behavior with younger peers. And these dialogues are transformative. They allow learners to become guides, echoing the more knowledgeable other concept while fostering reflection and leadership. Finally, storytelling. Storytelling draws on local narratives like yung binanggit kanina, Alamat ng Pinya. When students unpack character motives and ethical lessons, they internalize values through cultural tools, no? Si Jesus ginagawa niya 'yan, yung parable, 'di ba? Yung mga parables. And these moments illustrate how Vygotsky's theory lives in our Filipino classrooms. So the physical and emotional setup of classroom can either support or suppress socio-cultural learning. In the Filipino context, aligning the classroom environments with values of dialogue, respect, and community transform learning into a relational experience. So flexible seating promotes interaction, and group tasks replace silent rows of chairs. But it's not just about furniture. It's about the culture within those spaces. When teachers promote respectful dialogue and treat mistakes as growth opportunities, they cultivate trust. So trust, a key ingredient for both cognitive and moral development. Moreover, culturally, uh, culturally relevant content drawn from local news, stories, and community needs. So these anchors in learning in the real world scenarios. A socio-cultural classroom is a mini society, right? So mini society, a place where knowledge, values, and relationships are co-constructed. So while Vygotsky's theory offers powerful tools for educational transformation, real-world constraints in the Filipino classroom often complicate implementation. And it's important to name these challenges to begin addressing them. Many teachers still rely on lecture-based instruction due to limited training in scaffolded or collaborative approaches. 'Di ba kailangan din nating matutunan na yung hindi yung old model o yung lecture-based instruction. We need also to learn about the scaffolding or yung collaborative approaches even when well intention educators may struggle to manage large class sizes where tailoring instruction to individual CBDs is difficult. Standardized assessments further limit innovation, yung mga standardized assessment. And often, yung mga standard assessment, often pressuring teachers to teach to the test. And finally, cultural dynamics like hiya or respeto or respect for authority can sometimes suppress the open dialogue and questioning central to sociocultural learning. Addressing these issues requires professional development, of course, administrative support, and reorientation of assessment priorities to make room for relational, reflective education. So patapos na tayo sa ating part 2. So we've now journeyed through how Vygotsky's socio-cultural theory transformed not just pedagogy, but the very spirit of education. In Filipino classrooms, learning isn't confined to textbooks or lectures. It is forged in conversation, shaped by culture, and carried by relationships. This theory reminds us that every question asked, every peer collaboration, every guiding hand from a teacher, these are acts of growth. They are moral moments as much as cognitive ones. Our values, pakikipagkapwa, bayanihan, utang na loob, are not background features. They are central tools in the learning process. So, As we move forward in shaping future classrooms and teacher education, let's remember that learning is transformation powered not by isolation, but by empathy, guidance, and community. In honoring our culture and applying these ideas, we help students become not only smarter, but wiser and more compassionate. So that's all for today, and I hope you learned a lot from this topic about the theory of sociocultural and learning about Vygotsky, the CBT, the zone proximal development of Lev Vygotsky. Thank you so much, and God bless us all.